You know, for years, we've had AI that can see our world, but there's been this huge catch. It's really only been seeing the English-speaking part. Today, we're talking about a massive breakthrough, one that finally teaches AI to see the entire world. This is a game changer. All right, here's the plan. First, we'll look at the basic tech that lets AI see in the first place. Then, we'll talk about this big English-only wall it slammed into. From there, we'll get into this weird problem called the curse of multilinguality. And then, the good part, we'll see the recipe Meta came up with to fix it. We'll watch them break the curse, and then wrap up by talking about why a global AI is such a big deal for all of us.
Okay, so before we can really get into this big breakthrough, we've got to understand the foundational piece of tech here. You could almost call it the hero of our story.
And that hero is called CLIP. Now, think of CLIP as like an AI's Rosetta Stone. It's how AI learns to connect words and pictures. It basically looks at billions of images with their captions from all over the internet, and it learns, oh, okay, the letters CAT go with this picture of a furry little animal. It sounds simple, right? But that one skill is the absolute bedrock that lets AI see and read at the same time. It powers so much of what we use today, from your phone's photo search to the vision in big language models.
But here's the thing. This incredible technology, it had a huge invisible wall built around it, a massive limitation that was seriously holding it back.
And that wall was language. Get this, a staggering 50.9% of the web is not in English. And what were these AI models doing with all that valuable data? For the most part, just tossing it out, discarding it. I mean, can you imagine trying to understand humanity while ignoring more than half of everything we've ever put online? That's the massive blind spot AI has been living with.
So the solution seems obvious, right? Just add all that other data in, train the AI on everything. But, it's never that simple. When researchers tried that, they ran into this really bizarre and frustrating problem. And this is what they called the multilingual paradox. The hope, the dream, was that if you fed an AI the whole internet, all these different cultures and languages, it would get way smarter. But the reality? It actually got worse. And not just at the new languages. It got worse at English, the one thing it was already great at. It was like adding more knowledge was somehow making the AI dumber. It makes no sense, right? And this wasn't just a one-off thing. It was a known problem in the field. The researchers from Meta even say it in their paper. They called it the curse of multilinguality. It was this frustrating roadblock that basically told everyone, look, you have a choice. You can have an AI that's great at English, or you can have one that's kind of okay at a bunch of languages. But you can't have both. And if you want proof, just look at this chart. This is the hard data. So what we're looking at is a big AI model tested on ImageNet. That's a super standard English benchmark. When it's trained only on English data, it gets a 79.5% accuracy. Pretty good. But look what happens when you add in all that worldwide data. The score actually drops. It goes down. More data from more places led to a worse result. That right there is the curse in action. So, how do you break a curse like that? Well, the team at Meta AI came up with something they call a worldwide scaling recipe. Think of it as a very specific 3-step formula designed to finally crack this problem once and for all. Okay, so here's the recipe. Step 1. They expanded the AI's vocabulary, its basic understanding of concepts, from just English to over 300 languages. Just blew it wide open. Step 2, they built a smart curation algorithm. So instead of just dumping all the data in at once, this thing intelligently balances everything. It makes sure that a super common word like car in English doesn't completely overshadow a really important but less frequent cultural concept from another language. And in step 3, and this is probably the most important part, they just scaled everything way up, a bigger model with more processing power and a much more intense training regimen. All right, so that was the recipe, that was the theory. Now it was time to see if it actually worked. Could this new approach finally break the curse? And wow, just look at this. This chart says it all. So remember, we're using a bigger model now. The English-only version gets an 80.5%. But this time, when they add in all the worldwide data using their new recipe, the score goes up. It jumps to 81.3%. The curse isn't just gone, it's been completely reversed. All that global data is now making the AI better at English. It's incredible.
So, what was the secret sauce here? It wasn't just about adding more data. That's what they tried before. The big realization was that the curse was really a problem of insufficient scaling. The old models were like a high school student trying to cram for every single college final at once. They just didn't have the brain power. The solution was to give it a bigger brain, a larger model, and give it more study time, a lot more, like 2.3 times more. That gave the AI the capacity it needed to actually process and understand all that new global knowledge instead of getting confused by it. And this really became a win-win situation. I mean, look at this table. It's comparing MetaCLIP 2 to the previous best model on a bunch of multilingual tests. And it's not even a competition. It blows the old records out of the water. Look at that CVQA benchmark, a massive 7.6% jump. So now you have a single AI that's world-class at English and sets a brand new state-of-the-art for understanding tons of other languages. Okay, this is all really impressive lab stuff, but what does it actually mean for us, for the real world? Why is a global AI something we should actually be excited about? Well, the implications are actually huge. First, a global AI can capture a much, much richer and more diverse picture of what it means to be human. It's learning about the world directly from people in their own language, not through some clunky, often wrong translation. That alone helps with practical things, like being able to tell where a photo is taken just by looking at it. But maybe the biggest thing is that it starts to break down the built-in bias of an AI that only thinks in English. It creates a foundation for all future AI that is way more fair, more representative, and honestly just plain better. And you can see that richer understanding right here in the data. They tested on data sets specifically designed to measure cultural and geographic knowledge. The results are kind of staggering. Just look at the GLD-V2 landmark recognition test. The old model got a 48.5%. MetaCLIP 2 gets a 69%. That's more than a 20-point jump. That's not a small improvement. It shows the AI doesn't just know more stuff, it has a much deeper, more nuanced understanding of our world's diversity. I think this one quote from the researchers really sums up the whole thing perfectly. It used to be a trade-off, right? A zero-sum game, where one side had to lose for the other to win. But they completely flipped that. They turned it into a relationship where the two sides actually help each other. Learning about the world makes the AI better at English, and being great at English helps it learn more about the world. They're mutually beneficial. So, let's just end on this thought. For basically its whole life, AI has been trying to understand our huge, complicated world by looking through this tiny, tiny keyhole called the English language. With MetaCLIP 2, that door just got kicked wide open. This is the first time AI can really learn from the collective wisdom and viewpoints of, well, all of us, all of humanity. So the question is, what's next? What new things will it discover? What surprising connections will it show us? Now that AI can finally see the whole world, what is it going to show us about ourselves?